Just like hot yoga after a walk through Minnesota, justice is best served with a side of mimosa. This is Brunch and Budget, the show about personal finance and racial economic inclusion with your host, Pamela Capallet, a certified financial planner and an accredited financial counselor here to take the bite out of your budget. I'm your sound provider, Dialect, and here's your host, Pamela Capallet.
Thank you, Dialect, and thank y'all for tuning in. I think
that was a decent one, right? I tied in the brunch thing, right? Mimosa and all that.
Hot yoga, Minnesota, mimosas. The rhymes are good. Oh,
well, I'd be rhyming sometimes. Just so you know, by the way, yeah, I know the hot yoga person is a jerk.
I know,
right? The cat who coined it and made it a thing.
Bikram, that guy.
Yeah. I don't want to name.
He's a jerk.
I'm just. You're
right. Yeah, I know. Okay, so today we're talking about how to invest in yourself without spending a dime. What does that mean, though? What does investing in yourself even really mean? I think we have to start there. We came up with the show idea. We've done another show, episode 115, on what it really means to invest in yourself. And now I feel like that we're all cooped up in our homes. Maybe we're busier than ever. Maybe we're not. And maybe we feel like we want to one-up our skills a little bit. Maybe we feel like, hi, Sagani.
We feel like we're supposed to one-up our skills. That's what everybody's been saying. Get a degree.
Right, Epiphany? Yeah.
Get a whole new thing. Get your business going. What was that hustle that you wanted to do? Make it into a business.
Yeah, do it now. Now is the time, right? The world has stopped. But it's weird because the world is trying to figure out how to keep going. And are your skills still relevant in this new world that we're trying to put together, right? I think that's the other thing that we're trying to kind of parse out here is like, what does that really mean?
Yeah. I mean, for people like educators and performers like myself, I've been adjusting to do things digitally, but everyone was like, this is a temporary thing and we're going to get back on stages and in classes soon. But as we're seeing, that's not really happening right now. And for a lot of folks, especially like younger folks coming up, and this is going to be the norm.
Yeah. No, this is going to be the norm. I mean, our baby, speaking of which, has spent half his life in quarantine. You know, what does that mean? He's a quarantine baby. He's the little COVID baby.
I mean, that's definitely going to be something like quarantine generation. That's going to be a thing.
Oh, yeah.
So for folks like that and for folks like us who are trying to figure out what we're doing, let's talk about what our parameters that we've been talking about. We're going to go through some of these guides and best practices, decide for ourselves, and hopefully you guys can decide for yourselves what are the things you can do to invest in yourself.
Yeah, so people seem to have very different definitions of what investing in yourself really means, and I think the ultimate thing that we came to is for you to figure out what that definition is for you. We've been talking through it between us, and we even have different definitions of it for ourselves. I think one of the things that we've been trying to figure out is it only investing in yourself when there's a specific end goal in mind? Or can you be investing in yourself when, you're doing XYZ? And also, what's the difference between investing in yourself and just self-care, right? And I think those are the things that we may be able to try and define and have some consensus about, but also it may be something that you end up deciding like, you know what? Because exercise shows up, for instance, on a lot of these investing in yourself lists. And for me, I feel like exercise is self-care. I need to exercise to maintain a certain level of whatever, to maintain a certain level of mental health, physical health, whatever it is, to be able to then invest in myself. But for some people, it feels like an investment in yourself because of how you define what that means. So I think that's something that we really need to think about.
Yeah, the easy metric that I've been coming up with is what do you need, what do you want, and what would be nice?
Oh, wait, explain that. That's good. What do you need, what do you want, and what will be nice?
Yeah, so when you're investing in anything, right, there's the big thing they talk about, like your return on investment, right? And I like to think about, what you need, that's the guaranteed part that you want to make sure that that's definitely going to happen in your life. What you want, that's the interest. That's the little extra part that can grow on the side. That's where something like, if you know that you're working out because you're like, I need to work out, I need to be healthy, but also, I've kind of always wanted to play this sport, or I've kind of always wanted to work on my body so that I could have something where I'm like an Instagram model or show myself off like that. If that's something that is in the side of back of your head and it wasn't something you were able to do until you're able to get started, that could count. And then what's the stuff that would be nice? That's the stuff where when I work with students a lot, we talk about what are the things that you have not done, or that you've done, not for money, that you enjoy doing, that you could possibly do for work in the future. And I think exploring that does count. So the thing that would be nice, here's something that I did, that I want to try stuff out without the pressure of it having to become a job or career, but also, if it's working that way, we could do that.
So that could count as investing in yourself.
Right, well that's what I'm saying, give yourself these 3 parameters, right? I think when we ask ourselves these questions, because the exact answers are going to be different for each of y'all, and I think when we ask ourselves these questions, if they don't fit in these 3 parameters, maybe that doesn't count as investing in yourself.
Maybe it doesn't.
I think, what I love to do with this kind of stuff is give yourself an easy cutoff. Cut off those things, and then once you get into the meat after that, there's going to be nuance. So let's get into the nuance.
Yeah, let's get into the nuance. And this is one that like came up a lot in Google. 35 powerful ways to invest in yourself now that will change your life, which is that's a pretty intense headline. It's having there's a lot of promises in that headline.
Want to hear them? I want to know.
Yeah, I know 35 of them to invest in yourself, and these are all generally free, and you can find free things to do. Because the other thing about investing in yourself, this episode is called "Investing in Yourself Without It Costing a Dime," is there are a lot of ways to do that and to not spend money, especially at a time like this, and really just invest your time. So the first thing that they list is watch less TV and choose more positive shows. Is that investing in yourself?
What? Okay.
Is that self-care?
I'm ready to throw out the whole list right now.
What?
No, get rid of it. Watch less TV. Choose what. That doesn't have anything. That's not going to be helpful for someone who's working on being a TV writer. First of all.
Well, I guess that's where it comes back to is, what is the goal, right?
Yeah, I think investing in yourself without spending a dime, the first thing we need to do is get rid of puritanical nonsense. So let's cut that list entirely and go to a different one.
Yeah, let's do it. Oh.
Right? Because this is just telling you what to do with your life. I think that it's important and smart people read books and don't watch TV. That's old advice from old heads who didn't know what they were talking about in the first place. So let them fail by themselves.
But this was going to be like 10 minutes of the show.
Yeah, well, that's all right. We can move on to other things. I say can.
This is interesting. Epiphany Skincare said, I found that when I watch less TV, I invest more in my business.
Oh, am I wrong?
Are we canning this or
Maybe
no?
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay.
Let's keep going down the list.
Let's keep going. I'm open to be wrong.
All right. So number 2 is visit positive websites. I don't know what they mean by that. Okay. People waste time online with frivolous websites is shocking. I'm curious. I think they're talking about social media. I think that's what they mean when they're like positive websites, like don't go on social media. I mean, we're on social media right now.
Well, no, but this is something, and to build off what Epiphany was saying, I know that when I go on social media sites, I will spend longer on things that bother me. You even be annoyed when you see that, and you're like, how come these like famous people or blue checkmark people are sitting there arguing with these jerks when they could be building and making, because you're doing the same thing. You're looking at the shocking thing, you're vexed with it, and you're dealing with it. And I know that similarly what Epiphany was saying with the TV, when I stop doing that and allowing my energy to go there, I'm less worn out and I can work on my things.
Interesting. So and I feel like we need to strike a balance there, but in general, like, it's not like you're saying you don't watch TV, right, Epiphany, and you don't go on social media or anything like that. It's just a matter of like, at what point do you cross the line where it's not productive anymore, or you're not getting anything out of it anymore, and you're just there because you need a distraction or because it's shock value or whatever it is, right?
Right. So is it feeding you or is it healing you? I guess to give us another thing to choose from, right?
Right.
If it's not feeding you and it's not healing you, then maybe it's time to step away and do something.
Yeah.
Even if it's just brainstorming or trying to write something, you're like, I don't know what to write. Just go ahead and do that.
Right. And then don't spend 3 hours on it, which is, I've definitely accidentally done that. Yeah, setting time limits, exactly. I love that. I think that's a good self-care thing, is like, don't deny yourself of watching TV or going on social media, but, don't go overboard on it and actually time box it. That's a term that I've been hearing a lot of my friends talk about, is time boxing these things. Number 3.
But before you even get to that, I just want to talk about, that's something that we talk about with Pockets Change and with Bunch of Budget all the time. The spending values matrix, and how it's really important for you to make a budget for the things that you enjoy, the things that you want in life. When we say that you like going out to eat every now and then, put that in your budget. Don't say, I'm never going to go out to eat, because when you go out to eat because you know you're going to do that, then it starts taking out of the budget that you weren't ready for.
Yeah.
So just like we budget with our dollars, right, and you make room for the things that are important to you, giving yourself that time limit, it's not a restriction. It's giving you the space that says, I'm going to go ahead and do that.
Ooh. I just learned this in therapy. I love that you said that.
I'm excited.
My therapist, because I've been talking to my therapist about being pretty tired and emotionally exhausted, and one of the things she said is that you have to have some kind of emotional savings fund as well as like a financial savings fund, right? And what does that mean? How do you build up your emotional savings fund? And that may mean like setting time limits on things like TV, on things like social media, on saying like, I'm only going to do this for an hour a day. I'm only going to do this for like 10 minutes at a time, and figuring out how to put that stuff away and figuring out how to really bank the emotional savings that you're going to need to be able to invest in yourself later, right? So this may not be investing in yourself in the sense of like, I'm taking a class or I'm reading a book. It's investing in yourself in the sense of saying like, I'm going to not do this so I have the time to do something else.
So what you're basically saying is having a designated driver for your relaxation.
Yeah.
right?
Like myself as the designated driver?
Yeah, well, I mean, you have to be your own designated driver in this kind of situation.
Yes.
It's okay because there's no alcohol involved. But, right, because otherwise, if you allow the devices that you're rocking with, because usually, we're collaborating with people and the people can check us, right? Ask for accountability partners.
Right.
But when your partner is a machine and all it asks you is, are you still watching? Yeah, you're like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'm watching. That's cool.
Yeah. Oh, we love you too, Wasita. You might not know that Wasita was our doula for the baby, so she was there through all of this. Hi, little baby.
Talking about investments.
Definitely invest in a doula if you're having a baby. But yeah, no, I love that. This idea of thinking about not looking at things that distract you as a way to contribute to your emotional savings.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say not looking at things that distract you, but
time boxing.
Yeah, time boxing your distraction.
Yeah.
So allow yourself to get in that thing because, like, it's gonna catch your eye. Allow yourself to do your thing.
Mm-hmm.
Setting a time limit for it there gives you that space. I think that while these things themselves might be self-care, I think that if you want to reach for my face, what will be investing in yourself is creating the space and time.
Yes, exactly. So that you have the space and time to do things like the things that are coming up on this list. Reading books or ebooks. Reading books in general. That shows up on like everyone's invest in yourself list. I kind of want to break that down because it sounds so like, oh, of course, reading a book, that's investing in myself.
Well, also the thing that I was outbursting about a minute ago, it sounds like some intellectual hooery about, well, if you're going to be a smart person and a better person,
you
read books.
Now, you don't watch TV, you read instead.
But reading text reading text that's long form really does give you something different than articles, chat, and just like looking at things and hearing people talk.
Yeah. And I guess the question is, like, how do you choose what to read? Like, what counts as investing in yourself? Is reading in general, even if it's for pleasure, part of investing in yourself? Like, I don't know. I guess that's something that you
I think that's the one that I want to carry that through the stuff that we were talking about before, through your goal situation. What is the stuff that you need? What is the stuff that you would like to have? And what is some stuff that's just nice? Because then I think about, like, the people's battle between fiction and nonfiction books.
Mm-hmm.
And I certainly will have a genuine need to just collect data sometime.
Right.
I just need to get these nonfiction books. I need to get these stories that people are talking about, these real things that happen, so I can catalog and put them into the work that I do, because it's like research.
Yeah.
Other times you need inspiration. And inspiration is straight up, I love talking about the real definition. Inspiration means to breathe in. You need to get something that is your breath. And the thing that is your breath is often something that expresses the same thing as you. Either A, it's in the medium that you understand, or B, it's outside the medium you understand, but expressing the same emotion.
Yep.
And it's going to be up to you which one of those works for you. Some folks are just like, yo, I'm a rock musician and I need to listen to a bunch of rock songs for me to get my stuff together before I write my next riff. Other folks are like, I need to have that same emotion that I need to give to my riff, but I need everything other than rock songs. I will need to read a fiction book that's telling a story that reminds me of that time when I was doing my thing, so I can do my thing.
Interesting. And I feel like this applies whether or not you're creative, you know? I think
well,
that's a big thing too. No.
I'm just saying.
That's the big secret. We're
I'm
all
just
creative,
saying
everybody.
that's the genre there.
I love it. Okay, so the next three are all to do with family and friends. Stay in touch with family and friends, choose your friends wisely, and get rid of toxic friends. Is this investing in yourself, or is this self-care? What is this?
I'm coming back to my old thing, but like, I think whoever put this together is good. I'm not going to tell you about your friends. Love the people you love.
Yeah.
If you got beef with them and they got problems and you need to get away, then talk to your peoples and they're going to tell you when to get away. Maybe there's some experts who got a better podcast about that, but we ain't that.
Yeah, no. I want to talk about this next one, find a mentor. And I want to talk about it because I feel like I have tried to approach people to be a mentor, and I've been on the other end of it where I've had other people ask me to be their mentor. And more often than not, I've gotten no's and I've had to say no. And I think that finding a mentor is a lot of also like blanket advice that we get a lot in terms of investing in yourself, in terms of investing time. And one of the reasons, especially being on the other side of it, that I've said no is because usually the person who asks me has no idea what they want to be mentored in. They just see me and they've decided like, oh, I bet this person would be good to like have on speed dial, you know, if that was the case. Mm-hmm. And I think that when it comes to finding a mentor, I think that what's important about if you're going to go down that route where you feel like the thing that you're about to do, the thing that I know, look at his little face. He's so cute.
That's right, I didn't even say it.
That's right. I know. But But when it comes to finding a mentor and asking someone to be your mentor is recognizing what kind of an ask you're actually making of someone.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing, is like, if you feel like that's the route you need to go down, that could be a way to invest in yourself for free, but also understand that the mentor is investing in you and investing their own time in whatever it is you're asking them to mentor for.
Yeah, and I guess it's like, rather than investing in you, what is the thing that they're investing their time in?
Yes.
You know, what is the shared goal that you have? I think if you're looking for a mentor, or if someone's approaching you as to be their mentee, what is the shared goal that you guys have? If it's just, I find you impressive and I want to learn things, then maybe it's not a good use of time. Straight up, just because if someone can't give a more specific reason than that, I don't think they know you like that.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think that whether you're choosing to find a mentor or you're choosing to decide whether you're going to mentor someone, because that could also be a way to invest in yourself, is to invest in someone else, right? And so either way, I think that understanding what the mutual benefit is for both of you and what both of you are going to get out of it is going to be huge. I have people who I do mentor where it just kind of happened naturally, and we just had good conversations and we connected in a way that it made sense for me to say, like, yeah, whenever you have an issue, feel free to text me, feel free to call me, and we have that kind of relationship.
Yo, so just like with dating, relationships are work, but the work shouldn't be, should we be in a relationship?
Yes.
It's other stuff.
That's real. I love that.
By the way, like talking about knowing about goals, you see the child here doesn't take every hat, he's taking the hats and throwing them down. This one he's learning about it because it's from the VI, the Virgin Islands, where he's got heritage from. And he's like, oh, I need to learn about my people. I get you.
That's right. I have a good question. Who was your mentor from Marge Mack? Awesome question.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I have a couple mentors, and my mentors actually ended up being people who I've worked with, especially in financial planning. I had a couple mentors in wealth management. One of them was my first boss, and one of them was my second boss. And I consider them my mentors, not because like I reported to them or anything like that, but I still like talk to my old boss and ask him for advice about like how I should think about this financial planning thing or this like complex financial planning situation. And I think that he didn't mentor everyone that was his direct report under him. He had other associate planners who technically worked for him who he didn't actually mentor. He took the time to mentor me, and the way that we developed that relationship, looking back on it, was something that happened organically, but I talked to him about this. I was like, why did you pick me and like not the other associate planners that you're working with? And one of the things he said was that I took initiative and I showed interest in the things that he knew would lead to being a good financial planner. And I think when it comes to mentorship is there's a lot of initiative that often needs to be taken by the mentee for the mentor to see something in them and say like, whatever happens, like whether or not I personally get anything out of this, because he didn't need to get anything out of it really. He had other associate planners. I had to work for him anyway, was that he wanted to see me succeed in some way. And that's how I feel when I mentor people too, is I see the initiative they take. I see that they're really motivated to do something. I see that they also follow through on a lot of the things that they're talking about and a lot of the things they asked advice about, and it's motivating for me to keep mentoring them and to keep seeing them succeed in that way.
Yeah, you know, my biggest, longest term mentor was Claudia Alec, a great playwright and poet, super awesome person. And I remember when we talked about the same kind of thing. I came up to the States to do hip hop and theater in, and I stopped doing a lot of the theater in because I noticed theater in wasn't doing theater, but the hip hop was doing theater. So I was on stages doing poetry, doing rhyming, and I came off stage one time, and Claudia walked up to me and said, hey, have you ever heard of hip hop theater? I've got this show, and I think that you might be a good fit for it. And we did the show together where I acted in a play that she had written, and I saw what she was doing, and she was creating the path that I was already seeing I needed. So I said, hey, can I work for you? And I just, starting out for free, I was doing all the grunt work. I was helping tape the receipts to the piece of paper for the taxes, because that's how we used to do it. I was going to bookstores and saying, hey, could you take this handwritten chapbook that we've made 10 copies of and sell it on consignment in your store, and doing all of those pieces so I could learn what was this thing that she was figuring out that I also needed to figure out in real time.
Yeah, no, that's very much investing in yourself without spending money. You just said, I have time, I have, you know, the knowledge that you have, I want and I need, and I'm going to help you figure out your stuff so I can get it. I think that's amazing. I love it. All right. I think we're done with this list because, you know.
I was complaining too much.
Let's go to a song.
Let's go to a song. So we're going to talk about doing things in yourself, with yourself, and to yourself. We're starting out in Silver Springs, Maryland with Zoe I got you, Abe. With Zoe and Asylum 7 Within Yourself. We'll check you in a minute.
Wanna take a walk inside of my shoes, make sure you can fit them. Long-term application for the mission. 7 marathon runner traveling 26 miles, just a diagnosis, solution to fix. Whatever it takes by any means necessary, like Malcolm, destiny beyond those of dreams. Next phase, awaken from the REM, sleep is a stage, the audience watches. Synchronized with clocks and military time and options. Recorded to the milliseconds, my imperfection leads me to promise to the number 8 section. Everything will get better, resources and connections, only if certain parameters, such as an increased stamina, now become the norm, standing up for what you believe in. Solidify reasons to reach for the stars and strive for high achievement. So take pride in yourself. Hey, yo, whatever goals, whatever dreams or aspirations you have in life, you can obtain them, yo. All you gotta do is work hard and persevere, don't stop. So anybody telling you that you can't get what you want out of life, they lying, they frontin', or they don't believe it themselves. Hey yo, we live in a crazy world that determines your worth by color shading, physical appearance and skin pigmentation, mass majority. So I try to represent for those who came before me, meaning my ancestors who marched for civil rights, who wanted the same benefits of being white. You wonder why I got a grievance with whack rappers taking 2 steps back, doing exactly what Master tells you. Wake up, acting like a slave, dumping feces all over the foundation they laid. It's very disappointing. Rub it in just like an ointment, saying I'm nerd rap because I won't join in. That's cool, I'd rather be smart than a porch monkey rapping for the blackface, claiming I'm making art. And only time will tell in the future who's able to sustain themselves regarding record sales. So take pride in yourself, my black people. We still have a responsibility to represent our culture and our ancestors that gave so much so that we can be free today. So let's stop looking foolish, man, and represent correctly, you know? This is economical warfare, government surveillance, the Patriot Act. Freedom and rights are alien, no more reason to fight, cause we got the television, right? Reality syndication is taking over life, and most can't be bothered with important subjects, and thus the politicians, they love us, give us entertainment to keep us brainless, telescopes on celebrities or who about to be famous, more irrelevant things with federal schemes. Americans that once were intelligent beings, I still believe we are. How long can we deal with the farce until they take away our guns like the Holocaust? Call me conservative, whatever. First and foremost, I'll be a journalist reporting true services. Gotta stand for something, whatever your purpose. Such is necessary in hopes that we flourish. So take pride in yourself. Hey yo, real quick, so let me make this clear. I'm not trying to force my beliefs on anybody when it comes to politics and things of that nature, but I don't believe for 5 seconds that the government has our best interests in mind. As citizens of this country, as free individuals, I could talk about 9/11, I could talk about Halliburton, I could talk about the current state of this economy, and certain things just don't add up, you know? It just doesn't make sense. I'm not gonna be naive and oblivious and patriotic when the things that I see are just ridiculous, man. It's A7, it's Zoe.
Yes, I actually want to go through some of the things on this list in terms of giving you an idea of how to think about investing in yourself. We ended with find a mentor, and other things on here: learn something new and take a class, which is on every invest in yourself list. Engage in creative activities, learn a language, set goals. A lot of these things, the reason why there's 35 is because it's like, okay, I get it. You compiled a bunch of stuff. Plan your day and your week, measure results, practice gratitude, meditate, mindfulness, exercise. That's something I want to talk about really quick.
Let's talk about it.
Is exercising and meditating investing in yourself, or is it self-care? I don't know. What do you think, Dialect? You're kind of having a back and forth about this.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking about how that's, again, something that's kind of a nice to have, and it can build you up for a lot of the skills that you need. Mm-hmm. I think doing something like exercise, I'm biased a bit. My dad was a bodybuilder, so we believe in exercise. That's been a whole thing. Exercise allows your brain to be able to do more. I'm able to have a better and longer day when I exercise, so I definitely think of that as an investment.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of folks who have a problem with things that will make you look better because they think that is necessarily vanity, and I don't think exercise is necessarily a thing that we do to look better.
Yeah, it's both. Oh, Epiphany says it's both. I hear that because it does take time to do it. I guess it goes back to that banking your emotional savings, right? If something like exercise, if something like meditating is something that not only is something that will allow you to do the other things you need to do, but also allow you to recharge, then you can think of it as an investment in yourself. This list is interesting. I saw Marjorie liking this list. I'm going to keep going. Go for medical visits. Going to see the doctor, which I know a lot of us, it's hard to do it regularly, especially now.
Yeah.
But a lot of us also shy away from it. And I think also a lot of POC shy away from it, honestly.
Because we don't trust them. I don't trust those doctors.
Yeah.
I've been brought up not to trust the doctors.
Yeah. So how do you deal with something like that? Because I feel like that is going to the doctor, investing in yourself. And that also goes back to Epiphany saying you're investing in your health while caring for your overall well-being. Yes. I feel like that's the same for exercising, for meditating, for going to the doctor. Investing in yourself can be fun, but often it's like, it's things that you're doing to build yourself up, and it can take time, and it can take a lot of energy that isn't fun.
On the really real, that all sounds very productive. All of that stuff that you just discussed. That also sounds like stuff that if either it doesn't directly lead to something, that it will create space for you to lead to something. So I think all of that can count.
Okay, I love it. No, and a lot of these lists, drink less alcohol, okay? Practice healthy activities and hobbies.
Well, when
eat
it comes
healthier.
to, even on like the judgy stuff, right?
Yeah.
Drink less alcohol, eat healthier, things like that. I don't think it's necessarily this thing to start digging into yourself and be like, you're a bad person, you've done wrong, and this kind of stuff. It's just to be aware of where your hobbies at, where your vices are at, where your points of relaxation are at. Just like we're saying, so you can budget these things, so you can be aware of them. Because a lot of times you just sort of let it slip. I work really hard from 9 till 5, or really hard from 8 until 9, and when it hits 9:30, I'm relaxing until I feel like I need to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And you're not paying attention to what you're actually doing with yourself.
I want to pause because this is a list of 35 things. We'll share the link in the IGTV when we post it later. And I want to say... Get him.
Yeah, we got it.
I want to say that the baby is knocking into our light, so...
Into everything!
Into everything. He just learned how to crawl like 2 weeks ago, so we're like, oh my god, you're mobile now! But the thing about... Oh, hello! And you learned how to stand a couple weeks ago, too.
Yeah.
So the thing about this list is... One thing to keep in mind is you don't have to do everything on this list. You don't have to do all 35 things. I feel like I was starting to get a little, anxious reading this list out
Some
loud.
of us are completionists, I think.
I'm a completionist. I'm very much a completionist. I don't know if any of you have taken our money personality test on our website. It's brunchandbudget.com/personality. But one of the things that it will tell you is not even how you deal with money and how money stresses you out and how money makes you anxious, but it can also spill over into other parts of your life. So for instance, I'm a complicator when it comes to money. I am someone who is kind of a perfectionist. I need to feel in total control of my money. I need to know where everything is at all times. I check my bank account balances multiple times. I check to make sure bills are paid. It took me years to feel comfortable doing auto pay because I was like, I don't want someone taking money out of my account without me knowing. And part of this is a lot of the complicatoriness spills into other aspects of my life. Like looking at this list of 35 things, I'm like, how am I possibly gonna do all 35 things? And you don't have to. You don't have to do all 35 things. I think when it comes to investing in yourself and prioritizing what that means for you is to look at lists like this and say, you know what? This resonates with me. It feels like something I can do now, and it feels like something that will pay off in the long run, right?
Yeah, I just want to think, I think I want to filter this thing through the stuff that is actually here to help you and the stuff that's here to take advantage of you. And
okay.
I think that, when you're talking about your money personality, yeah, the baby grabbing things, that's how it is. Excuse me for the moment of the shaky cam. But when it comes to that kind of stuff, just, hey, we good? Yeah. I want to know whether it's going to be a thing that's built for me or a thing that's built to take advantage of me. Does it want to take my time away and my expertise away?
Okay.
Or is it here to build my time and my expertise? And as a money monk, I often feel like a lot of the ones that are telling me to do something that's an industry they created, that they have an incentive to make money off of, it feels like stuff that I don't want to mess with. I think it's just like you're saying about the mentorship.
Yeah.
I want to be able to take advantage of it and also share something with it. If it doesn't feel like it's reciprocal, then maybe it's not going to work.
No, I hear that, and I think that...
That's that. By the way, that's that same old too good to be true stuff, is what we're trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, even the term investing in yourself is rife with, like, your own interpretation, and so a lot of people will use that phrase, invest in yourself, as a way to try and get you to buy something that you may or may not need, right? Because it feels like the term invest has this connotation of like, oh, you're going to put money down on something, but you're going to get something more out of it, right? Or you're going to put time into something and you're going to get something more out of it. And while that can be true for a lot of the things on this list, there are people who are going to take advantage of that phrase. And there also are things that, like, while they're an investment in yourself for one person, they're not an investment in yourself for somebody else.
Well, let's talk about, you were saying about personality tests, right? And money personalities.
Yeah.
The money personality test, which is a 2-question test. You go to brunchofbudget.com/personality or pocketschange.com/personality if you want to check out our education thing.
Yeah.
It's a 2-question test that tells you a little bit about yourself. But one thing that we saw on a lot of these lists is take a personality test. And that's been really, really popular these days.
Mm-hmm,
There's the Enneagram thing.
Enneagram, Myers-Briggs, the Strengths Finder test, Gretchen Rubin's tendencies.
Ooh, your love languages.
I was
just talking about therapists. My therapist told me to try to take that. I took one of those. It was okay.
Yeah, there's been a lot of focus around understanding your personality and understanding your personality traits and your tendencies. And I think that's something that is a great investment in yourself, because whether it's a personal reason why you want to do it, where you want to understand why you do the things you do, or whether it's a professional reason where you're able to actually articulate your strengths and your weaknesses to a potential employer, to a potential client, and to recognize how you work best with people, a personality test, investing the time and potentially the money that it will take to take one, and there's lots of free ways to take the Myers-Briggs or the Enneagram test or whatever it is, I know, then when you're able to understand and articulate why you do the things you do and what your actual strengths and weaknesses are, when you get that question in a job interview, when you're trying to think about what projects you want to work on, when you're trying to think about what you want to say yes to, you can do that based on understanding more about yourself and your personality. Because even when something sounds awesome on paper, it looks awesome on paper, if it's not really a great fit for you, then it doesn't make sense to actually invest the time in that. And I think starting with a personality test and understanding what your strengths and weaknesses are is a really great baseline for you to understand, like, oh, I shouldn't say yes to this, or no, this is definitely a no-brainer, this is a hell yeah. One of the things that we've been trying to live by these last couple years, if it's not a hell yeah, it's a no, right? But if you don't know what that means, and if you don't know what a hell yeah is for you, starting with a personality test may be a great way to figure out what those hell yeahs are for you.
And basically, you can consider it a free psychology consultation.
Yeah.
You know, well, a robo one, because it's just some automated stuff. And just like any consultation you get, if it doesn't work for you, if they bring you some conclusions that aren't actually building up what you need, that's fine. You can keep it moving.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I think, you go and you take and you're like, oh, my Myers or my Briggs, oh, it doesn't work for me. It's fine. You don't have to be either. I've clearly not taken the Myers-Briggs test because I don't know what they're measuring.
Yes. Another thing, there was this really great Simple Bank article, actually. Personality test was on their list. Another thing that they mentioned that's a really kind of good practical one is to update your online presence, and whatever that means for you. I think that this is something that is definitely not going to cost you a dime. You may need to spend some time and introspection on figuring out how you want to present yourself online. I will tell you personally that every person that I've hired, I've looked for their LinkedIn profile. And I know that it's public. I know that it's like, doesn't necessarily replace a resume, but it's a way for me to see how they present themselves online.
It can replace a resume. If you just print out the PDF from your LinkedIn, it's pretty resume.
It's a resume.
It's pretty resume looking. I'm not going to front. When we have done, just to like talk to people who have young kids or work around kids who are entering age where they're going to need a resume, we've done some resume building workshops with kids, and it's been difficult considering how things are changing in terms of technology and lives, to be like, type out this thing that you're just going to have sitting in a folder and have copies of. But when we walked them through LinkedIn, they were able to understand it quicker. And while it doesn't look like exactly the pretty resume, the printed out version of LinkedIn is a great start if you have no idea how to even begin with a resume.
It's actually not a bad format to submit, you know?
Well, yeah, I'm saying, your mileage may vary with like how professional that looks to folks to submit. But I'm just saying, just so you have more than nothing, it's a great place to go.
Right. And so if you know that people look at LinkedIn because, everybody Googles everybody, especially if you're about to interview or hire someone and spend time on them, is what kinds of things do you actually want to highlight on your LinkedIn? I feel like a lot of people tend to leave their LinkedIns dormant and not realize that LinkedIn also has really insane SEO. And if your name pops up at the top of a search, LinkedIn is probably going to be one of the top links on there.
Yeah, if you don't have another business or thing going on that you spent a lot of time and effort getting clicks and links on, then it's going to be your LinkedIn.
I mean, when I first started Brunch and Budget, LinkedIn was the top search result for my name for like years, until Brunch and Budget started getting some traction. So that's something you think about too.
I mean, even after it was still like there on the first page.
Oh, it's definitely like on the first page still, for sure. So what kinds of things do you want to highlight on your LinkedIn, right? What kinds of things do you want to highlight online, period? We were talking about, being a consumer of social media earlier in the show, but as someone who may want to beef up your online presence, what does it look like to be a creator of social media? What kinds of things do you want to put out there that don't just feel like distractions or noise, right?
And things like that, when you're like, maybe you should be updated on your LinkedIn. I think, part of my brain starts to gloss over because I'm like, as a creative, I'm like, LinkedIn is the boringest. There's nothing going on with LinkedIn.
There's nothing going on.
Yeah, even when I go and I click there, most of the emails I get are people who are like, hey, I can help you with your business that I'm not sure what it is. Or actually, it's a lot of it's like,
spammy.
I've listened to your podcast and I will help promote your yada yada. So I'm like, whatever with that. But something I've learned that even my theatery, rappery, creative behind, when I've gone for grants, when I've asked for opportunities for collaboration, I have noticed an uptick in people who are looking at my LinkedIn. They check it out. Even if it's just going to be an archive, let it archive the thing that you want folks to see about you. One thing that's messed me up is I've gone to look up people, haven't been able to find any presence except for their LinkedIn, and they're a music producer and they want to collaborate with me, right? And I go to their LinkedIn and I look at they're a manager at this store, and then they were a server at this other place. And it's like all the jobs that they've had, which like I guess is honest, but it's not anything that's relevant to the work that I'm going to do with them.
Right, like why didn't they put they're also a music producer?
Yeah, at least having both, because like maybe you do need to have that resume up there too, because you're looking for those kind of jobs as well. But if the thing that's going to be relevant to you is not up there, then people can't rock with it.
I love that you made that point, because I think the thing about LinkedIn that we don't think about is that you don't just need to put like your job listings. It's more than a resume. It's not just the places that it's not just the places that you've made money at or that you've worked at or you've been an employee for, but what are the things that you do on the side, creatively, whatever it is, that you want people to find out that you do and to know that you do.
On the side, not behind. I mean, like, this is your cover letter. What do you do?
Right.
What do you do 360?
Right. Yeah. Talk about everything.
Yeah, don't worry about it whether it's on the side or not. It's the circle is what they're looking for.
Ooh, can you talk a bit more about personal branding?
Yes. First of all, I bristle at the term because, branding, that's how it came from. You know how it is.
Oh, language.
Right. But yeah, so what does it mean to have a personal brand? That's something that we've been dealing with over the years because, the thing that I said, I still stand by that, and I think it is weird and can be intrusive to have like a brand versus having an identity.
Oh, wait. So let's talk about the difference between a brand and identity first then. How do you distinguish the two?
Yeah, so like for me, I think it's really simple. Like I have a simple line of demarcation that is, if you are selling the thing before you make it, then this is a brand. Mm-hmm. If you are making the thing, then you're selling, that's just part of your identity. And if other people want to make that what they would consider their idea of your brand, that's fine too, because people are going to still use that word. But I think that you should have an understanding and a bit of control over where you're at. Because otherwise, we end up following where the money is.
Oh, yeah. So before you even start branding yourself, it's to understand what your identity is.
Mm-hmm. Because I know, like to talk about me and doing music stuff, I know I started making music where it was a lot of like battle rap going on at the time, a lot of like angry, violent diss and stuff, and I was like, I want to make positive music. I want to make music that's uplifted and does that kind of thing for people. I told stories and stuff like that, and I went back and listened to my music, and I realized I had this weird brand of kind of infallibility, of like being a good guy.
Okay.
Which wasn't actually the thing that I wanted to put out and sell. I was just reacting to the stimuli around me, and it was making something that wasn't totally authentic to me.
Wow.
And that was something to just talk about money and work, though, being that it wasn't totally authentic identity to me, whether or not people had liked it. I didn't understand how to sell it because I didn't get it.
Right. Well, and I feel like the word brand also has this like limiting idea of how you need to present yourself. I feel like that a lot of the advice when it comes to personal branding is to kind of pick the thing or the gimmick that someone can easily remember you for.
Yeah.
And I think that's the tricky thing about personal branding too, and why it can feel like branding yourself and doing some personal branding doesn't actually show the entirety of who you are, your identity, right?
Oh, I got you a good one on this on how it doesn't work, right? I had a dope producer over at Tommy Boy Records hit me up and was like, yo, D, let's make a song together. I got a great idea. Let's do a song. I'm like, cool, let's do a song. He's like, yo, you always have lots of hats. Why don't you do a song about hats? Right? And I was like, okay. And I wrote a song. It was definitely not my best song because I was like, I wasn't really inspired. I don't know. You know that I have hats, but I don't know why we have that connection. He didn't even say like I love hats or something like that. He's like, you have hats a lot.
You have
So I wrote a
hats.
song about hats, and I was
That's
like,
your
that
brand.
song about hats. It was like my brand. And it didn't work out. We didn't end up putting out the song because it wasn't something that really meant something to me.
Yeah.
So I wasn't able to authentically put something together and do
Yeah.
my best work with it.
No, for sure. I love that. So I think when you're thinking about your personal brand, and this is like a great thing to think around when you're building your online presence, whether it's on LinkedIn or anything else, is to make sure that your personal brand still reflects enough of your identity.
Well, and on that, Epiphany brought up, I don't know how to have a LinkedIn as a business owner and community partner, which is really interesting.
That is really interesting. So I have a LinkedIn. If you check out my LinkedIn for Brunch and Budget, I spend a lot of my LinkedIn page promoting my business. And I think that's one way to think about it is you are the owner. People are going to look up your name. They're going to see it on LinkedIn. And I think it's going to be really important for you to think of your LinkedIn page, not as like you trying to get a job, but as you trying to get people to understand who you are as a business owner, what your past experience is. So like for people to see that I did wealth management in the past, that I was in wealth management for a certain number of years, what job positions I held there, what kind of designations that I have, whatever is relevant to your business and whatever experience you have in the past that leads to people feeling like your business has authority that other businesses don't is a great way to present your LinkedIn page. And not for your business, for your personal. So like, I don't really have much going on Brunch and Budget's LinkedIn business page, but my personal LinkedIn has a lot of stuff that promotes Brunch and Budget and talks about Brunch and Budget in a way that I think leads to people understanding who we are and also leads to clients.
Yeah, I use my LinkedIn totally as a sitting resume page. And I remember when I was talking to you guys about Claudia Alec earlier, there was a long time, probably like a 5+ year period, where it was just that. That was the only thing that was on my LinkedIn. It was like, hey, I used to work for Claudia Alec. And I think it said like to present, like I was still working for her. So like if she needed to throw me some hours at that point, I had every right to.
Yeah.
And as soon as I took that and updated it to all the things I'd done post that were in the same field, I saw not only an uptick in people looking at it, but people reaching out to me for opportunities on my email, not on my LinkedIn, because they knew that I wasn't going to answer there.
That's interesting. So people just like knowing more about you. And I think this goes back to personal branding versus identity too, and how you want people to think of you. In a lot of ways, especially when you're just trying to figure out what your personal brand is or like what your online presence is, you have a lot of freedom to shape that and you have a lot of room and time to experiment. I would say with Brunch and Budget, it started off as a gimmick, right? It started off as like, oh, I meet people for brunch and talk about their finances. And what it ended up being was this identity of a financial planning firm that was friendly and accessible and approachable, where you like broke bread with someone and you found common ground together. And we're still able to do that virtually. We're not meeting people for brunch right now because COVID, right? But we're still able to have that identity as a business to say like, we're the people you can come to if you really need help and you want some really honest, really accessible advice from someone who's not going to judge you. And I think understanding that aspect of your identity will allow you to brand yourself for people who are just looking for that like quick thing. And I guess that's the big difference is when you think about your identity first, then you can have that like quick elevator pitchy thing to be your personal brand, but your identity is something that exists throughout your online presence.
Well, it makes it concrete and it makes it last beyond the elevator pitch. It's the thing that makes it work. It's the thing that makes it sustainable. It's the thing that allows people to give you leeway.
Yeah.
I think even of like Milli Vanilli. One of the, well, check it out. Milli Vanilli, they were like these artists who like, they were brought on to be pretty models and they didn't really sing their songs. And the thing that messed me up the most about it is years later, when they were trying to, I forget what it was the reason, but they were in court, something about like the rights to songs and things like that. And over the years, the one cat from Milli Vanilli, because the other one passed away, but the one cat from Milli Vanilli learned how to sing and learned how to sing the song perfectly.
Yeah.
And he sat in the court nailing it like he was in the studio. And it was the most heartbreaking thing because it was like, if this cat had just internalized it, made that part of the work, and I know a lot of that was the studio not giving them time and things like that, but if they'd had the opportunity, then folks would have given leeway. They would have been able to have a career as a singer, but now they never can, even though they've still got that skill.
Right, because they did their brand before their identity.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It's the thing I always say, if you fake it till you make it, then even after you made it, you still fake, and what you gonna do with that?
Whew. Oh man, alright, let's go to a song after that.
Just saying. Speaking of folks making it, we got some real cats to feel that. We went from last time we were in Silver Spring, Maryland. We're going all the way across the coast to Oakland, California for these two artists, Sarah Fuga and Awa Fall. They are Sister Sarah, and they got a joint Believe in Yourself. First, you gotta get in yourself, then you gotta believe in yourself, and then you're gonna see what you do with yourself.
Tell me how will you do to make your dreams come
So we're talking about investing in yourself without spending a dime. We went through, most of a long list of things, and the baby's waving to everybody. We went through a long list of things. Do you want to say hi, Johnny? We went through a long list of things at the beginning about, things like exercise and meditating, going to the doctor, spending time with family and friends, things like that. And we kind of moved into updating your online presence. We moved into taking personality tests and understanding your strengths and weaknesses more. And the final thing in terms of investing in yourself that I think is really good and concrete and powerful in terms of like building up what you want to do with your career, your business, your job, whatever it is to organize your work into a portfolio.
And or organize your portfolio if you've already got one. If you've got a sprawling thing. You photographers that still have some Flickr sitting there messing around.
Right, exactly. And this is something that's going to be pretty time intensive.
Photographers, does that still exist? Is Flickr gone? I don't know.
I have no idea.
I wouldn't know. I'm clearly not a photographer.
So when it comes to organizing your work into a portfolio, I feel like that's an easy thing for creatives to think of, right? You're like, oh, here are the websites that I've designed, here are the pictures that I've taken, here's the artwork that I've done, all of this kind of stuff. And like having a portfolio is something that has been ingrained in you since you were in college or high school or whatever it was. I think that when it comes to organizing your work into a portfolio for people who don't have a direct connection to the arts in that way is like, what does that mean, right?
Well, and I think in terms of like everybody yelling at you, the hustle mode right now and right away, I think what it can mean is, what is the stuff that you already have that can get you the things that you want?
Ooh.
Do you have a background in graphic design and you made flyers and you made album covers and you made posters and things like that, but you haven't done it in a little while because it hasn't been the most profitable. But now online people are asking you, hey, since you got some time, can you do a couple of designs for us? I remember you used to do that. Do you have anything that you can share? No, you don't have it online because that hasn't been something you've been working on.
Interesting. So I think from what you're saying too, it sounds like that it's not about like putting all of your work in one place and organizing it. It's about curating the work that you want to show off.
I mean, I think we keep talking about having goals in relation to this.
Right, and this also goes back to branding and identity and your online presence is like really understanding it's not about what you can do, it's what you want people to pay you to do. Right?
Not about what you can do, it's what you want people to pay you to do. Mm-hmm. That sounds really simple, but that's really hard.
That's really hard because what you just said is like, oh, I can do graphic design. I have designed flyers for people. You've designed flyers for people.
Yeah, I'm talking about myself. Right?
You're not telling people that you're a graphic designer.
No, and
you can technically do it, but like that's not something that you want people to pay you to do.
Well, and this is the thing I'm cautioning folks about. It's like if you have it and you can do it, but you're not interested in doing it, don't use that as part of your thing. I think that's where you end up getting in self-care that turns to busy work, that turns to distraction. Is when you start feeding these other things. Again, selling it before it's your idea.
Wait, let's unpack what you just said there, because you were like self-care, which turns into what?
It turns into busy work.
Busy work, which turns into distraction. So even something that feels like it should be productive, like putting together your graphic design portfolio, could end up just being busy work that leads to a distraction, that leads to gigs that you don't want to take even if someone's paying you.
Hold on. We're going to do this.
Oh, what are we going to do?
We're going to do this. We're going to be transparent here. Shout out to Hire Black with their radical transparency. Look at the desktop.
Aww.
It's a mess. It's a mess. It's a mess. It's cute dogs, but it's a mess on the desktop.
I have definitely had a deadline the next day and been like, I'm going to take 2.5 hours to clean up my desktop.
I've done that too.
You've done it.
You've done it. You've cleaned up your desktop.
Right,
and
no,
done
you're
some
just
stuff
putting
like that.
together your portfolio, right?
Right, exactly. It's putting together your portfolio. It's adding all those extraneous things. It's all the shoulds that you think other people are going to worry about, but they're not actually going to lead to something.
You know, what's interesting what you say there, because I think when it comes to something like organizing your portfolio, it sounds really simple, but there's a lot of pressure behind it, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of pressure when it comes to, because it's going to be something that you're going to show people, that you're going to use as a way to get people to either hire you as a client or to hire you as an employee. And I think that we put a lot of weight on organizing our portfolio to the point where we do end up just making it busy work instead of something that's going to be meaningful. So I think before you even start figuring out how to organize your portfolio, you probably do need to do the other two things first, right? You need to potentially take some personality tests, learn more about your strengths and weaknesses, and you need to figure out what you want your online presence to be, because that will inform what your portfolio is going to have in it. I think that starting with organizing your portfolio first can feel really overwhelming if you're not clear on the other two things. And I think I want to emphasize this because when it comes to something like investing in yourself, and when it comes to even the weight of that phrase, right? Investing in yourself implies you're putting a lot of time and energy into something because you're hoping to get something more out of it. And when it comes to that, I think that there needs to be this understanding that it does take a different kind of energy and a different kind of effort than things like self-care or things that you do to make room to invest in yourself.
Well, and just like with the energy in the mentor-mentee relationship thing, it's going to be work, but it's going to be natural. Your return on your investment comes through the rhythm of your intent.
No, I love that. And I think all of the feedback that we got on like things like exercise and meditating and taking care of your health and things like that as an investment in yourself, that's like one category of investing in yourself that is incredibly important to be able to do the other things, right? To be able to do the building, to be able to say like, okay, I've invested in myself on a regular basis to be able to emotionally bank some savings, right? And then now I'm able to actually do the work of figuring out my strengths and weaknesses, of building my personal brand, of finding my online presence, of making our baby laugh.
Yeah, that's my whole portfolio right now.
Exactly, yeah. And also building your online portfolio and really understanding what you're asking of people. I think that for people who don't have sort of the direct arts linked to it, what we had our salary expert on last week, shout out to Advisory Avenue, MJ, who talked about documenting all the accomplishments that you've had and all the work that you've been doing at your current job. But if you're in a position where you're in between jobs or you want to switch jobs, creating a portfolio of your work that you've done in past jobs that you feel proud of, that you'd want to share, is also something that you should just have in your arsenal, because even if you don't end up ever showing it to anyone, you're able to talk about it in a more meaningful way in interviews, online, when you're networking with people, when you're trying to make connections with people in a meaningful way.
So like the final word on the brand thing is like, make the you that's online look like the you that's supposed to be the you that's you.
I love it.
Yeah, that's something that I feel like we've been doing a lot of work on. I know I personally have been doing a lot of work on that. With the stuff that we've been doing with Higher Black and with Neani Tolbert and helping us out, and with the creative projects that we've been doing that we've been moving online. I feel like I'm personally trying to get myself to December having an online me that looks like me.
Yeah, I love it. That's beautiful. And that leads us to my final question today is...
What's that?
The show is about investing in yourself without spending a dime, but when do you need to spend money? When is the point where you're like, all right, I've done everything I can for free, now I actually have to spend money to invest in myself?
I don't know.
That's a good question.
Yeah, no, that's also going to be something that we answer for ourselves. I think when it comes to the point where we're going to spend money with what we're doing, I think that's when the ROI stops being stuff that's emotional.
When it is actually like, I'm putting money into this and I'm expecting it to monetize in this way by doing that.
Yeah, because otherwise it's not an investment. That's a really easy one. When it's free, it's kind of hard to figure out what's self-care, what's an investment. When it costs money, it needs to make money or else it's self-care.
Wow, I love it. I love it. And
that's
that,
that.
everybody.
I'll end on that. We're play another song and get out of your hair just like my hat has done. We're gonna go all the way to France, to Nantes, if I can pronounce it correctly. I'm always messing up with French. Sorry, French folks, I'm gonna do more better. This is a song from NYKO called Free Yourself, because after we get in ourselves and believe in ourselves, we gotta free ourselves so we can be ourselves. And we'll check y'all next time. Thank you so much. Bunch of budget. Peace.